Welcome to the Financial Coaches Podcast, where we talk about how to build your practice from startup to scale up while being the kind of coach your clients crave. Finally, a podcast for financial coaches. Here are your hosts, Maria Casillas and Cody Sizemore.
Well, hello, and welcome back to the Financial Coaches Podcast. My name is Cody Sizemore, and I'm joined here with my lovely co-host, Maria Casillas. And today we are going to be talking about something that kind of builds off of our last episode in some ways. But Maria actually was the one who brought this one to the table. And it has a lot of having to do with, planning to do something, which we all do that. We all plan for certain things. But then there's another set of things that maybe sometimes we don't do, which is actually doing the thing. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. But before we get into any of that, I want to just say a few things. Number one, if it's your first time listening, we really, really appreciate it because, this is probably something that you've been planning on doing for a long time, but you're actually doing it right now. You're actually checking out this podcast. So good for you. We're happy that you're here. And we hope that you stay for the next episode after that, and the one after that, and the one after that. And then you would then become this person who listens to us every week, which then you would be considered what we call our every weekers. And if that is you today, you're like, that's me. I'm an every weeker. Well, hey, we want to say thank you too. We're glad you're here, and we're glad that you've been checking it out every single week for a long, long time. So, thank you for all of that. The support really does go a long way for us. We don't do ads on this show. We don't get paid for the show. We really just show up every week and just kind of speak on, about what's on our hearts and what's on our minds, simply because we want to see this community grow, and we want to see people get the help and the support that they really need. So thank you for being here.
You might call us the original every weekers.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. And if you really want to take things to the next level, and I mean like really take it to the next level, and you're like, I want to be involved, I want to have a community, I want to be able to talk to people about this, I want to figure out what's the best practices and how to do it and all these different types of things, the best way to do that would be to join our Facebook group as well, which is, hey, also free to join. And it's simply called the Financial Coaches Community by New Money Habits. So if you're not in there, join in. If you are in there, we're glad that you are in. Ask questions, say hello, introduce yourself, all that good jazz. And that's what I got for you. So with that being said, enough with the pleasantries. Maria, how are you doing, and what in the world are we going to be talking about today?
Thanks for asking. I'm doing pretty well. I'm in the desert, so we have some allergens going around, so I have to clear my throat every once in a while, so I apologize ahead of time if I have to do that. But I think that what we should talk about today, and you laid it out very nicely, is the idea of having intention around something and then actually executing that thing. Last week we started talking about your awesome quarter that you had. And towards the end of that episode, if you haven't listened to that, by the way, go back. It was just a week ago. But towards the end of that episode, you brought up a term that you use with your clients. And I think it was aggressive patience.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound right? Okay. So as you were talking, I'm like, oh, like that's actually goes right in line with some of the stuff we were going to talk about before. And so I did the audience a favor and didn't bring it up at the time and thought maybe we could talk about a little bit more of that today. So as you were talking about aggressive patients, what kind of came up for me was that the patient side of that was more like a passivity thing. Like it was like you just kind of know, okay, it's going to happen sometime in the future, and I'm just going to be patient and allow that to happen. But there's not a lot of activity in that, right? It's more passive. The aggressive part of it, while it sounds super aggressive, but the idea, it sounds to me like the idea there is that you're just being active. Like you are going after it. You're taking actual steps in the moment, while allowing time to just kind of do what it's supposed to do. And so it reminded me a lot of a reflection that I heard several weeks ago. And it was this idea of, I think it was actually titled No Excuses, but that what was the content of that was a lot more interesting to me than just the idea of no excuses. And it was just this idea that, we lay all of these amazing plans for ourselves. And we have all of this, grandiose desire to make it look pretty and to have it all structured just the right way. And then when it comes time to doing it, sometimes it's a little harder to do that. So I'll tell you, like right now, and invite you also, Cody, to bring in any examples that are coming up for you. But I see this in every area of our lives, not just in the financial coaching world. For me, those of my listeners who have been here for a little while know that I homeschool my 2 younger children. Well, at the time of this recording, we're kind of smack dab in the middle of summertime. And one might think, oh, well, that's when you just kind of chill out. But for the homeschooling mom, it's not when you chill out. It's actually when you plan everything for the upcoming school year. And so I teach my children, but I also am an instructor for some other kids in a different community. And so right now I'm doing all of this planning of here is the curriculum I'm writing, and I want to make sure I have all the stuff ready for my kids. And so we have all of our planners set out and just all of the things, right? And I will be the first to admit that I am awesome. Aren't you glad that I'm admitting that I'm awesome?
I
I
am
am
glad that you admit that.
awesome at planning and making things look pretty.
Mhm.
And when it comes time to execute, when it comes time to sit down with the kids and open that book and really dive in, I am awesome at coming up with every excuse possible to not do the thing. And I know that this is something that doesn't just plague me. I know it plagues a lot of people in a lot of different areas. And now there are areas of my life that I am awesome at executing. And so I'm bringing up some of the ones that are a little tougher for me because I think that vulnerability helps our listeners know that, it happens in different areas. So I want to just talk a little bit about some of that today. That this idea of having the intention without action, it really doesn't get us anywhere.
Right.
So, what do you say to that before we jump into some of the other examples that had come up?
Well, I think it's completely true. Um, I think that all of us really do have good intentions, and we try and plan as best as we can.
Mhm.
But there's usually something that kind of keeps us from that. It, maybe it's just an exhaustion thing or a bandwidth thing. Maybe it's a confidence thing.
Mhm.
Um, maybe it's a worth thing. It could be a lot of things, but the point is that you are absolutely correct in the fact that you can put in all of the planning that you want, and it doesn't matter if you don't actually start taking action on it. So
Mhm.
I completely 100% agree.
Yeah, like you can see some beautiful curricula on my shelf, and then they're like, 5 weeks in, they're all written on, and then weeks 6 through 25, they're completely blank. so,
Mhm.
so I know how all that works. In the reflection that I was listening to somebody, he had brought up the whole Johnny Depp, Amber Heard trial.
Mhm.
And that I know that was a long time ago, and I honestly did not watch it. Did you watch it at all? Like, were you
I
involved in
saw
any of that?
clips, but I wasn't like invested into it.
Okay, nor was I. And so I share that to let you know that all of this that I'm sharing right now is absolutely hearsay to me. Like I heard it from somebody who heard it, I did not hear this firsthand. But the example was very interesting to me. And it was that I guess in the divorce, she received like a $7 million settlement or something like that. But was I think I don't know if she was ordered to do this or if she had said she was going to, but she was going to give half of that to some charity. Um, so $3.5 million to the charity, ACLU, I think it was. And during the trial, somebody had said, "Have you given that money?" And she said, "Yes, I have." And they said, "Well, but have you actually given the money?" Like 1 million of it had been actually donated, I think. And she said, "Yes, I've pledged the other amount to give." And there was this back and forth that ensued, and it sounds like just a quibbling over words. But what this individual was reflecting on was that she, in her mind, the word donated was the same thing as had given. But because she still had some of that money on hand, it had not actually been given to the charity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think at some point she either suggested or insinuated, again, this is not, I didn't see it myself, that she has pledged that money, but what if she needs some of that? And so there was like a fear around that. And that just reminded this person about the idea of having the intention of doing something, but not actually following through. And he's like, on one hand, I wanted to just laugh and be like, lady, you haven't actually given it. He said, but on the other hand, I kept thinking, oh my gosh, this is me. Like, how many times do I say I'm going to be to this thing on time? But I know if I have to be on there on time, I have to leave right now. And I don't leave. like I find something else to do before I go, or I have the intention of getting up at 5:30 in the morning so I can XYZ, pray, work out, whatever that is. And the alarm's going off and I'm like, yeah, it's not time for me to get up. Like, I don't want to actually get up. And so I don't do it. So even just in those small areas of our lives, there's this intention, but without executing on it, it really gets us nowhere. So I'm just curious if there's any areas in your life that have jumped out to you as we were talking, or what are your thoughts about that quibbling of the words donate versus pledge? Does it really matter? Is there something underlying there? What keeps her, well, not anymore, but what was keeping her from just actually like passing over that money?
Well, it comes back to the old phrase, old adage of like, just kicking the can down the road.
Mm.
Um, and, we do that because it makes us feel like we're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have the intention of it and, we're saying like, yep, like we're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're almost trying to convince ourselves
Mm-hmm.
that we're going to do it. And I think that like psychologically in that whole convincing stage, it's almost like we convince our brain that it's already done kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing when actually it's not. And that's actually a really dangerous thing because like if we just keep trying to trick our brain into something when it actually doesn't happen, then it's never going to happen
Mm-hmm.
because at some point the reality is going to hit to where we say we actually haven't done it. And then when that reality hits and you have to face yourself, you have to look yourself into that mirror because you haven't done it, there's going to be a lot of feelings of shame, guilt, questioning yourself, taking a hit on your confidence. And then that's really going to cause you to not want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just start falling down this like downward slope of the quality of life that you really are trying to go after, Um, so yeah, I'm a big fan of just ripping the Band-Aid off and just doing it. I really am. And I mean, I'll even tell you, like, even like the last, 4 to 5 weeks, it's been really, really a very difficult time in my life for multiple different reasons, different areas of my life and whatnot. And I've definitely slipped on taking action on certain things and, just kind of feeling sorry for myself in certain things. And, I was telling my wife, I was like, I find myself in a place to where I know all the things that I should be doing and that are going to be good for me. And I don't want to do any of those. And I know all the things that I should not be doing and are not going to be good for me. And I do want to do all those things,
Man, when I tell you I can feel that, like right now,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like this time of year or if it's in the air or what, but
Yeah.
I feel everything that you just said.
Yeah. But that's the reality of the slope.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't just like a snap of the finger, you just start feeling that way and not doing the things that you're supposed to do.
Right.
It was a
Right.
slow but steady kick the can down the road. Oh, I'll do it. Oh, I'll get to it. Oh, I won't kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing until
Mm-hmm.
you reach this place to where like you're kind of forced to do something about
Yeah.
it, you know?
Yeah. Um, as you were talking, I could not help, because I'm a bit of a nerd. I could not help but think about the stages of change. And
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
You
I
also are a
talked to someone
nerd
about this
now.
the other day. I did. So yeah, please
I've
go.
nerded you out. That's great.
Yes.
But this idea that, especially clients, so this is really great for our coaches to hear right now. Our clients who come to us, they believe, and we oftentimes let them believe erroneously, that they are in action. And so often when they come to us, they're actually just preparing. They're preparing to take real action. Going to your calendar, it is an action item, but it is their way of preparing for actual change. And I know that that can be so, in some ways, disheartening for people, because they're like, oh, but I am taking action and I'm not, I'm just not seeing these things. And it's like, I'll just, to understand this better, I'll go back to the homeschooling thing. I am taking lots of action this summer. I'm printing things, I'm creating things, I'm binding things, I'm buying things. I'm doing a lot of action items, but none of it is actually acting in what I'm trying to actually accomplish. So if I'm trying to educate my children, the way that I will educate my children is by what? Sitting with them, reading with them, doing the education. Good thing they have a really good teacher, huh? Doing the educating with them. But I'm not doing any of that right now. I'm just doing all the pretty stuff ahead of time. I'm preparing to be able to do that. And even though it feels like action, it's not. And I have to be able to recognize that. And the same thing with our clients. If they are setting themselves up on the calendar, doing a budget with us, doing these things, it's kind of like them doing the binding part that I just described. They're not actually taking the action and changing their behavior, changing their mindset. And so there is a distinction there. And I just wanted to bring that up because I want all of our coaches to know that if they think that, if they're actually preparing, if they're like actively preparing, so I'm using air quotes for those of you who are just listening, they're actively preparing, it'll feel like action to them. And when they're not getting the results, they're going to be disheartened. And so it's our job as coaches to help them realize, hey, you're doing a kick-ass job with preparing yourself right now. I love how you're putting all the things in place. And when you've got all that in place, it's not going to make a darn bit of difference unless we actually use the stuff and actually execute on that plan. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And even sometimes too, like, when you're in the process of working with someone, so, you had the consultation, which maybe they're in a step of preparation during that time, and then they take that action to move forward with you into your coaching. Maybe that's the first step of them being in action. Um, sometimes, especially early on, like if you were to introduce like a budget or something like that to someone, they have the intentions of like doing it, but then they don't,
mhm,
you know?
mhm,
And it takes a couple weeks, if not even a couple months, before they really start to catch on to it and, make it a consistent thing and actually do it versus just planning to do it and all this kinds of stuff too. And that's a really big distinction there too, because like we as financial coaches, we know that the best outcomes and the best results come from when the clients are actually doing the plan,
mhm,
and not have the intention of doing it, but actually doing it
mhm,
as well. So if we expect that and, require that or even want that from our clients, then like we have to expect that and require that for ourselves as
mhm,
well,
mhm.
so that we can have that experience to be able to talk about that with our clients. We would be pretty hypocritical if we would say like, hey, you need to do this, why aren't you doing this, if we in our own practice are also not taking action on things either.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean?
That's right. Yep. Yep. One of the things that, as I was listening to the reflection, one of the things that I had heard that I made a note about was this I don't remember how he said it, but what I took up from it was learning more. So, like this idea of if I want to continue to learn more from from somebody or about something, is that like just checking our reasonings, right? So, is that because we want to clarify something? Or is it because we're trying to delay our action?
Mm,
And that I think a lot of
mm,
times that comes up when, whether it's with our clients or with our coaches, our coaches who are like, in in 6 months, I'm gonna hang my shingle and I'm gonna open my practice. And it's because I need to have this particular certification, or I want to have this training under my belt, or, whatever. It's the funny thing about that is certifications are not bad. Training is not bad. None of this is bad stuff or stuff that you should avoid. But you do want to ask yourself, what is the motivation for that? Is it because you're trying to just learn more, or are you just delaying that action? Is it possible to go for certification training while bringing on new clients? If the answer to that's yes, then you're just saying, I'm not ready yet. I emotionally can't figure this out and I don't want to do it. So check your motive on that. And if you need help with that from us, just let us know. Like, we're here to walk you through that. But just know that just because what you're attempting to do or learn is a good thing, it doesn't mean that it's not being used as a way to delay action.
Can you repeat that phrase between figuring out the distinction between clarity and delaying?
Um, I don't know if I can repeat that.
It was something
I
about
said so many
how,
words there, Cody.
yeah, it was something about how, like, when you're saying the phrase like, hey, you're wanting to learn more,
Hmm.
you have to ask yourself the question like, hey, is this, am I saying this because I actually need clarity, or am
Hmm.
I saying this just to delay the action kind of thing?
Yeah.
I think that that is massive. When you said that, it hit me. And I was like, yes, yes. Because I think that that's something that happens with a lot of potential clients,
Hmm.
when they have the consultation with you. And you could even call them out on that. If someone
Hmm.
says like, hey, like, I just want to learn more about this or whatever, if you ask them like why you're here, you could call them out on that kind of thing and like really catch them off guard. But also it's really good for you for like a self audit. Like, hey,
Hmm.
am I actually doing this because I want clarity on this and I actually want to, grow and learn from this? Or is it under the guise of that?
Hmm.
And it's really just me delaying, and it's just me pushing it off because of something else that I need to actually work through. And maybe that something else is a confidence thing. Maybe it
Hmm.
is a worth thing. Maybe it is something else. But I think that just asking yourself that question can be massive,
Hmm. Yeah.
massive.
And to drive that point home, I'm going to use an example that's not related to financial coaching, and so we'll just go like with the health industry, right? So, um, that a carrot and a Cheeto look very similar. Like
Oh yeah,
they're both long, they're both
orange.
orange,
Hmm.
and one might say, you know. Even though I know instinctively that the carrot probably is a better choice for me than that Cheeto, I don't have a full diet plan put in place yet. I don't have my full exercise put in place, plan put in place yet. And so I think I need to learn more about nutrition before I actually jump full in with this thing. And I'm chuckling because this is so me. Like, this is my vulnerability here. Um, there is that, it's like under the guise, I like how you said that, under the guise of learning more, doing it right, I'm absolutely just delaying what I know to be right. It just instinctively, I know what's right. And it buys me time. Like, oh, well, I'll do that in September, right? Like, once I know the actual plan, that's what I'm going to execute, because how could I execute a plan without having the plan in place? And it's like, hey, ding dong, you know the difference between a carrot and a Cheeto. So choose the carrot. and move on with your life.
Right.
So I hope that helps to just kind of recognize that this, again, is in all areas of life. But there are things in our financial coaching world that, like, well, maybe you can help me with that. What is an example, as you heard me talking about carrot versus Cheeto, what simple coaching example could there be for that? Like for our coaches?
Hmm.
I know I
That's
totally
good.
put you on the
That's a
spot.
good question. I mean, it could be even like an example of like, if you wanted to do some sort of like online event, right?
Okay. Yep.
Like, that doing the event would be helpful as compared to not doing the event. You also know that like, you have an idea of like, what it might look like um, but you've never done one before. So, you don't know like the actual like specificness of like every single thing that has to be done and how it should be done and all that kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to, have this event be really great and really successful, you keep putting it off because you want to make sure that everything's perfect kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
As compared to just doing it, seeing how it goes, getting feedback from the people who went to it, and then adjusting and keeping going,
Cool.
and do it again kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really good, especially on the fly. I just totally threw that at you and you were able to pull that. Your statement made me think of something even more simple. So just
Mhm.
for simplicity, I'm going to bring it down even a few more notches. If we're looking at carrot versus Cheeto, another very simple, like, your online event might take some planning, is why I'm saying this, right?
Sure.
The idea of posting. Now, I know some people do
Oh,
not want to
yeah.
be on social media, but just the idea of posting on social media versus not posting on social media, that is one of those things that you might say, you know what? I'm not going to post anything unless I have this full on plan of what I'm going to post for the next week or the next month. And because it has to be intentional and I have to know that it's going to drive people and it's going to be this kind of post versus this kind of post. And you guys, there is actually room for that type of plan. So I'm not saying there's not. But if you wait to post the one thing, it's like choosing the Cheeto over the over the carrot, because it's not going to take a lot of planning to post the one post, right?
Right.
So I'm just bringing it down to that simple one action item, because it would take a little bit more planning to do an online event, but not as much for this. So anyway, thank you, Cody, for being willing to go to that example just on the fly like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You kind of scared me. I wasn't sure if I was going to figure out something, but
But
I
yeah, and I
figured it out.
wouldn't have figured out my post thing had you not said anything. So
Yeah.
you know what? This is, our listeners get to just watch us in action, like in real time. This is how our brains work, you guys. So hope it's okay.
Yeah. But I think the important thing is that we are doing it.
That's right.
That's
That
right.
is right. And this entire podcast is a firm example of just doing
Mhm.
it. It
Mhm.
really is. We joked earlier that we were the original every weekers, but that actually just came about because we were willing to execute. We didn't know what the 2 or 3 year plan was going to look like. I mean, shocker, there are days when we don't know what the 2 week plan is going to look like. I know that doesn't shock any one of you, but we still show up and just do it. And there are going to be some episodes that are just really killer, and there might be some that you're like, oh, I'm not sure I got as much from that one today.
Mhm.
And that's okay. What you got more than you would have had we not shown up and you had not shown up. So that's, we're just continuing to build week after week after week on what we have done before. And so, yeah, this is a great example of what that looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Cool. Well, with that being said, guys, if there's been that thing that's been kind of hanging around and on your mind, and you're thinking about all the things that you feel like you need to do in order to actually get it done, this is your sign. This is your sign. You are being called out. And you're like, who, me? And I'm like, yes, you. You are being called out right now. And I want to invite you to start taking that action and actually doing something about it versus just planning for it. You will like the feeling. I promise. I promise. So get it done. And why don't you tell us how it goes in our Facebook group, the Financial Coaches Community by New Money Habits, and maybe, just maybe, we'll talk about your experience on one of our future episodes. Who knows? We never know what's going to come from this. And you might just be a good little case study for us. So with that being said, go after it, go do it. And you know what else you should do too, is you should also check into our show next week as well. So we'll catch you then. All right. I'm counting on you.
Thank you for listening to the Financial Coaches Podcast, brought to you by New Money Habits and Sizemore Financial Coaching. Submit your questions to our hosts by emailing podcast@newmoneyhabits.com. Be sure to subscribe to be notified of future episodes and join our growing group of like-minded coaches on Facebook. And until next time, happy coaching.